Doug Edwards, the author of an important new book about Google, the first book I think written by an ex-employee, I'm Feeling Lucky, Confessions of Google Employee Number 59. Doug, when I think of the Google brand, there's only one sentence I think of, and you didn't invent it. Guess what that is?
Don't be evil.
Where were you when that phrase came out?
I was in the building somewhere, but
Who was it who invented
Paul
it?
Buchheit.
Right. Who went on to do Gmail?
Who wrote Gmail. And what happened was, and this was...
What year was it?
I think this would have been 99 or 2000. But this was the one traditional exercise that I could relate to from my days in traditional companies, which is, oh, let's have a values meeting. You know, HR gets a group of employees together and says, we're going to determine what our corporate values are, and we're going to have a value statement, a list of 10 or 12 things that we all agree on. Things like show up to meetings on time and respect the opinions of your colleagues. So Paul was in this meeting, and Paul is a coder. You know, he likes the efficiency of
classic
code.
engineering term.
Exactly. And he says, why do we have a dozen rules when all we need is one rule? It's bad coding hygiene. So he said, don't be evil covers all of these. And so nobody in the meeting really took him seriously except for one guy, Amit Patel. And Amit said, that's perfect. He was also a coder. And so he went around the office and he wrote it on every whiteboard in the office. And when people would leave their computers untended, he would put it on their screensaver. And everywhere you went in the office, it said, don't be evil, don't be evil, don't be evil. So it was really intended as an internal code for dealing with your fellow employees. It was not meant to be Google's overarching mission statement, you know, in the world, part of the brand. But at some point it slipped out, people saw it and started associating that with Google.
What do you think of that term?
Well, you know, as I describe in the book, I felt it worked against us in the sense that Google, when I was there, always stressed underpromise, overdeliver. And there's no way to underpromise and overdeliver on don't be evil. I mean, the best you can do is not be evil. You can't go beyond not being evil. I mean, there's no way to delight people with how not evil you are. And so I felt that it set up an unrealistic promise.
Do you think it's been bad for the company, that term?
I don't think it's been bad in terms of keeping the company aligned. You know, they now feel accountable to that standard, even though it wasn't intended to be their corporate standard for the outside world. I think they take it very seriously internally, and people there do believe they have a mission to not be evil and to do the right thing.
There are some people who believe that Google is a new company, that they are the kind of company that doesn't do evil. Do you think that's fair?
I think that's what they aspire to. I think sometimes good intentions lead them astray, and I think they're occasionally tone deaf to what users actually want. But I do believe at the heart of Google, and the heart being Larry and Sergey, who are still in charge, they're the ones who are setting that tone. And I think they sincerely believe that that is something they should live up to.
Is there any awareness, though, generally within the company, of, if not the hypocrisy, certainly the inconsistency or the ease with which extremely wealthy young engineers can talk about doing no evil? I always think of the 747 story with Larry and Sergey when they acquire a jet which they own, they fly off to Africa to do good deeds. Now, I'm not doubting they want to do good deeds, but is there any awareness of the absurdity of that within the company, do you think?
You know, I think everything with those guys is a cost-benefit analysis. And so I think they understand.
They're like machines or like computers?
Well, no, I think that they evaluate, you know, using data. They look at it and they say...
Everything, even when they have their lunch?
Pretty much. You know, I don't think there's a decision they make that doesn't go through that filter. Because, you know, you talk about lunch. I mean, okay, why have free lunches? Well, you know, people say it's frivolous, it's, you know, it's spoiling the employees. But I'm sure they sat down with a pencil and paper and they figured out that if we could keep people on campus instead of going off to lunch, how many minutes do we save? You know, instead of an hour at McDonald's, we get 20 minutes in the cafe. They're sitting with their coworkers talking about work. How much productivity is that? What's the cost of an hour of an engineer's time? And then they do the math, and it comes out and says, this is a great deal. We're saving money by offering free lunch. And so I think they did that with every aspect of the company, and I think they do that with all the decisions they make.
Even today?
You know, I haven't talked to them in years, but that would be my guess.